Hi friends, it's Leah here. I am back with another video, and if you hear some noise, just please ignore it because I have neighbors and our walls are not the thickest. So guys, today I'm here with another video to continue with my story. Yeah, so the last story I told was about my childhood, how the Lord took me from Islam and witchcraft and to his kingdom. So today I'm here to continue with my story, and today's story is gonna be a continuation from when I found Christ to basically when I left. I left the way, the way of Christ, and went on my own little detour, for many years. So, guys, after I found Christ in 1998, maybe early 1999, I can't exactly remember, but I know it's shortly after I came from Tanzania that a few months later, I found the Lord. I went very very well. I was led to know the Lord by the local church that I was going to, which was at the Assemblies of God, my mother's church. I was involved in the praise and worship team. I started singing, Yeah, it becomes very fun. I was still in primary school. I cleared in my primary education. I think I finished class 8 in 2001. Yeah, in 2001, I finished my primary school and I joined high school in 2002. 2002. So I was pretty much on fire for the Lord. And, I kept on, searching more and more, reading my Bible. I used to really, really read my Bible, which helps me even today, actually. It helps me even today. The Bible I read back when I was younger, it's I've still not forgotten. Sometimes I may not be all in my head at the same time, but when someone says something, I can even finish the verse, that I read so many years ago. Well, so yeah, so I went to high school, and so this part of the story, it has to do with my body images that I used to have. I used to have a lot of body issues, body image issues, like the world standard of beauty, the way the world defines to us what beauty is. Yeah, you have to be skinny, you have to look like this and like that, So I used to have the same body image issues, because since I was a young child, since I was born, basically, I've never been small, I'd always been chubbier. My mother says I was born with almost 5 kilos or 5 kilos and yeah, so she said I was a very big child, like a very big baby, that the baby clothes that she bought for me I couldn't wear. She had to go back to the market and buy more clothes because I was bigger than the clothes. And she says I was so heavy that nobody was helping her to carry me. The way people are always eager to carry a new baby or a young baby. Everybody's trying to carry a baby, but nobody really would help her carry me because I was very heavy. So yeah, and she says after she had me, the desire to have more children, she said she's not having any more because it was a very hectic time for her because I was really big. Yeah, so guys, I always grew up that way. Like, remember, like I told you, with my stepmother, she always wondered why, no matter how horrible she thought my life should be, I always was, thicker. Like she felt I was flourishing or whatever her own definition of flourishing was. So yeah, so I grew up that way. So but growing up, especially after I came to Kenya, in Tanzania it was a good thing. It was looked at as beauty, like you're healthy and all that. But when I came to Kenya, I started noticing that people would comment to me about my body, like call me fat, nono, hey, when him nono, like in Swahili, it means you're fat. So I never actually really thought of myself as fat when I was in Tanzania. Up to 13 years, I never really thought of myself as fat. I just thought I was healthy. But when I came to Kenya now, people started calling me fat, Everywhere I went, people called me fat, fat, fat. Everywhere, And I remember the primary school I used to go to, the buses we will take. Sometimes we took these little buses back in the 90s, and there were these like conductors at the bus stops. They would ask, are you a teacher or are you a student? Like mocking me and my sister, especially. Even my sister was not small. So they would mock us, like, hey, you are a teacher. Like every day I was there from class 6 to class 8, for 3 years, they will call us teacher. They will yell, hi, teacher. Hey, teacher, like laughing, and it's men, grown men, mocking at a child, a teenager. So these things started disturbing me, and even in where we lived, some of my mother's colleagues would make comments, you are too short and fat, so uh, it planted a seed in my mind, So yeah, I grew up that way with this thought of wanting to one day not be fat, So when I went to high school, I started working out. Like I would do sit-ups. You guys, I was working out so hard, and I used to only do sit-ups because I really always desired a flat tummy. So I would do sit-ups. I go to a place where per day, like per session, like I would go on the floor and do 1,200 sit-ups every day. I will do that, and that was the only workout I would do for like a year. I did only that, and I lost so much weight. Like I was shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. I wouldn't even eat that much, so I lost so much weight, and I kept it up throughout high school, and now, but also I was still in faith, I was still following Jesus. I was actually the CU present worship leader, and then finally I became the CU. When I was in Form 3, I became the CU Christian Union. I became the CU chair lady. So yeah, so I was so much into God, and so yeah, so I was so much into God, and I had this body image issues, So yeah, putting this together, guys, it's gonna make sense. So since I was the CU chair lady, and I was in a Catholic school, and I wasn't Catholic, so I guess there was a bit of maturity in there. But I was very opposed to being forced to do, mass, Catholic mass, do everything they do, kneel down and do that. Yet I didn't understand what all that was about, I'm not a Catholic, so I don't know why they kneel down. I don't know why they stand up, kneel down, I didn't understand it, and I was very much opposed. I think it came also from me coming from Islam, being so radical about things. So when I became a Christian Protestant, I think I had some radicalness in me. So when being a Protestant, being in a Catholic school, being told to kneel, to stand, to do this, do that, I was very much opposed. I'm like, that is not my denomination, or that is not my faith, or I don't understand what is going on with all this. Why do I have to do all this? Yet I'm not there. I'm not that I don't know, denomination, which anyway. So I was very much and when I was younger, I was very much rebellious. Yeah, I had a rebelliousness in me, So I was very set in my ways. Like I was set in my ways. Like if I know this is the right thing, I will just do that. If I know this is the wrong thing, I will not do that. I used to be like, these people will be like, I will never do this, I will never do that. Yeah. So I had decided I will not be doing what they are doing in the church, and I came to school to study. I didn't come to do all these religious things that are not from my faith. So I felt like schools don't have the right to force everybody to do a certain denomination's way of doing things. I didn't feel right to be forced. I felt like everybody in school should be there for education, and then be free to worship however your faith tells you to, your faith says, your faith principles, to follow those, not to be forced to all conform, because some of the kids in my school were Muslims. Anyway, so that was my resolution when I was in high school that I will not be forced to do all those things. So I was okay from Form 1 to Form 3. Everything went well until I got to Form 4. And when we got to Form 4, my sister, we were in the same high school with my sister, and she graduated. She graduated and left. I started having a very difficult time in school without my sister. Yes, because me and my sister basically had lived together since we were little children. So when she graduated from high school, I started being very depressed and feeling very alone. Yeah, it became very hard for me to stay in school. So with this, the fact that I was also uncomfortable in the church, being forced to go to mass and being forced to do everything that they do. So yeah, so apparently there was a meeting of prefects. They were called by the principal, and some of my friends who were also in CU with me, they reported me that they said that Leah, when she goes to mass, she doesn't stand, she doesn't do this, she doesn't do what is supposed to be done. So the principal called me in her office after a few days. She called me in her office and she told me, Leah, I've been told that you are refusing to kneel down during mass. And this is a must. You must do it. You must do what people are doing. So she told me, you have two choices. You either do what we are doing in this school. When we are going to mass, you do what we are doing. Or you can also choose to go home, to quit the school. I was a very sharp child. I was a very sharp student, by the way. I was basically leading my class, even with very effortlessly, by the way. So that is another story, how God brought me from Tanzania, not knowing any English, and coming to start leading from primary school. I was a very sharp child. I picked up school very quickly. So yeah, so I went. So when the principal told me to choose whether to do what they're doing in mass, or quit, or go home, be suspended or expelled, she told me, "Oh, you go home." I didn't even care whether she meant temporarily suspension or expulsion. I just told her I will go home. And she thought I wasn't serious, and I was very serious. One, remember, I am very depressed because my sister is gone. I'm feeling very alone in this place. It was a very far place from my home. So I really didn't want to be there anymore. It's funny, but I did not want to be there anymore on my own. Yeah, so when the principal told me, either do what you are doing or you go home, I was like, hey, come on. This is the answer I've been waiting for. I've been feeling like I don't want to be here. And here she's telling me, do as we do or go home. I told her I will go home. So she was like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, I'm sure I will go home. So yeah, I was really repressed, you guys. So I went home. She told me, yeah, okay, go home. She didn't think I was going to do it. Nobody thought I was serious. So I left. And I came back home. I was in Form 4, guys. I think it was in February, and registrations were about to start. I think a week or two later, registration of KCSE was about to be done. So I left and I came home. And my mother did not think I was serious. So she asked me, why did you come home? I told her what happened, and she was mad. She was on my side. She was like, yeah, how can they force you? You're not Catholic. You're not, she was so mad. She was on my side. And and so she was mad. She supported me. But then after a week, she was like, so when are you going back to school? I'm like, what? She was like, yeah. When are you going back to school? I'm like, I'm not going. She said, but you're supposed to go to school. You're in Form 4. And I'm like, Mom, I'm not going back to school. I'm not going back to that school, because going back means I'm going to do what I have said I will not do. So so my mom did not take me seriously. She waited for 2 weeks and she was like, Leah, when are you going back to school? I'm like, I'm not going back to school. So the principal started calling my home. She started calling my mother and telling her she needs me back to school. And my mom was like, Leah, so the sister wants, because it was a sister. She was a very good friend of mine, by the way. Even today when we meet in Karen sometimes, and I say hi. We are very good friends with sister. She was a very good lady, I must say. So she was like, sister is calling, and she's waiting for you to go back home. I'm like, to go back to school. I'm not going back, Mom. You need to find me another school, because I'm in the last, class. I'm about to graduate. And my mom was like, no, I'm not finding you another school. You are going back to that school. And I was like, I'm not going back. So this was February that I left school. My mom, I think we waited for over 1 month and a half. We are in April now. and my mom has not found me another school, and the sister is still calling to say come back to school. So yeah, so finally it's April, and my mom realizes that this child is serious. She's not going back to school. And the family, I remember one of my aunts, she advised her, don't get her another school. If she doesn't want to go back to school, let her stay. But my mom was like, my mom was very determined that her children must all have education. So my mom now started finding me another school. When it was too late, registrations of the KCSE were already done. They were already done all over the country. The only places that were still registering people were the grown-up place. I don't know what I call it. Ngumbaru? Yeah, we call them Ngumbaru. I don't know what do you call them? What are they called? Like, I don't know. Where grown-ups go to do high school or whatever. Yeah, where grown-ups can go and register. So that was the only place where my mom could get me to register. So that's what she did. Finally, that was the only option she had, because she went to a few schools and they were all done with registration. So she went and got me a place in Jogoo Road, Shauri Moyo YMCA. So that's where she went and registered me, and she told me, this is where, you'll have to go and do your exams. And I was like, okay, I'm okay with that. Hey, I was okay. I was living in Nairobi, I would come back home. I can come back home daily. But the transportation was going to be too expensive, so my mom got me a place to stay in the hostels at the YMCA in Shauri Moyo. So yeah, so I stayed there, and I will take my classes. I will take my classes pretty well, because I was a good student, guys. I was a very good student. So I kept on taking my classes. I think it was a few weeks into my classes. And I also stopped after high school. I stopped going to the church where my mom went in at the KAG, the Assemblies Church. So I started going to this church. I found a really hippie youth, full of youth church, these modern churches, and I really liked it. I liked the music team. I joined the music team. I was part of them. It was a very nice, friendly, a friendly urban type of crew, and I really liked it. I fit in there. I felt I fit in very well. So it was in Pipeline, in Embakasi Pipeline, and it's very close to where I was going to school at YMCA. So now I was excited with living there, and I would go eat at small cafes around the place. Cheap food was very cheap to buy. So yeah, and then some days I would go to church for music practice and come back to the hostel, go to church on Sunday and all that. It was perfect. But remember, guys, I started with the story of my obsession with weight loss. So at this place where I was staying, it was the YMCA. There is a lot of stuff happening, sports. There was a lot of just different types of sports, because it's the youth whatever. Yeah, youth something YMCA. I cannot really tell you what that really means, but it has to do with youth. So there was a lot of martial arts, yes, and I was very much into martial arts. When I was in high school, I was doing taekwondo. So when I went to this place, there was martial arts. They were doing Shotokan, they were doing karate. So I joined all that, I started doing Shotokan. So I started exercising with these people, fighting and all that, and I loved the adrenaline. But it's all about keeping my keeping my body fit and looking, good. I was pretty much obsessed and vain. So in this spirit, guys, one day I went for music practice. I took a bus, went for music practice, and then I went for music practice. It was in the evening, and the music practice lasted till 8:30 in the evening. And after we were done, instead of me taking a bus back to the hostel, I decided that it could be a nice opportunity to work out a little, to work out a little bit more. So instead of taking a bus to the hostel, I decided I can walk. It is a very long distance, guys. I cannot tell you how much of a distance, but that would have been a 2-hour walk. 2-hour walk, guys, at least 2-hour walk from Pipeline to Shauri Moyo, where I lived. At 8:30 in the morning, at this time I was 19. Yeah, I was 19. This was 2009. 19. It was 2014. Yeah, no, 2015. Yeah, just before I turned 20. 2015. It was April. Yeah, it was April 2015. So I don't remember which date. Was it April 10th or something? I don't know. I think around April 10th. So I decided I was gonna walk home. I was just gonna walk to my hostel at 8:30 in the evening, in the dark. A 19-year-old wants to walk for over 2 hours, but I felt like the road was busy. You know, there were people. My head was never. I told you I had this courage that was stupid courage. You know, like you feel like you fear nothing. You're like, even if you're shot, a bullet will bounce off your chest. You know, I used to think if I'm hit by a car, it will bounce off. I will damage the car. It won't damage me. You know, when you're in your teens and early 20s, you feel pretty indestructible, pretty much like Captain Man. Yeah, so so I'm laughing, guys. I can laugh about it now, but it's not funny. So yeah, so I decided I was gonna walk and get some, more workout. So I started walking and I walked and walked and walked until I reached Donholm. People started, the crowd started reducing, and I'm realizing there are just a few people, but I could still see people ahead of me. So I'm still walking. So from Donholm to Zamzam, there's a place called Zamzam on Jogo Road. I realized, oh, I'm almost alone, but there's a lady in front of me. So I'm like, at least I'm not alone. So I'm going to keep walking. So I keep walking, and then all of a sudden I look in front of me, and there's nobody else. I am alone. I don't even know when that lady disappeared. So I am all alone, and I'm here at Zamzam. To the left of me is a railway station in seclusion, like there's a fence, and there's just railway lines, and it's like a bush, in there. And I'm walking alone in the night, very few matatus. So I'm walking, and I'm like, okay, I'm alone, but I'm not scared. So I'm walking, and the ladies has disappeared. And then from nowhere, guys, and I had this thought of, I used to not look back. I'm like, I'm not gonna be scared. What am I scared of? So I would not look back normally. Look back, why? Who's scared of what? Yeah. So guys, I didn't look back. Even when I realized I was alone. So walking, and then all of a sudden I felt someone choke me. So I was choked, and he was strong. Guys, funny. I was doing martial arts, but at this moment, I could not even think of defending myself. Not even think of nothing. I was just shocked. And I'm shocked. And the guy tells me, don't move and don't make a sound. If you make a sound, I'm going to cut you. I'm going to cut your throat. I'm going to break your neck. So I say, okay. So, guys, someone has just decided to play music in my neighbor's house. So please, if you hear some music, pardon me. Yeah, so the guy starts dragging me. He starts dragging me by the neck through the fence, the railway line seclusions, and he drags me there. And I'm thinking this man wants to steal from me. I'm like, so I tell him I have nothing. What do you want? I don't have any money on me, and I don't have a phone. I told him I don't have a phone, and he says, okay, it's fine. I will see that myself. So he keeps dragging me in, and more deeper and deeper and deeper. So we get to a place where he tells me he wants to search me, and I tell him I have nothing, because I only had 20 shillings in my pocket. So I tell him I have nothing, and I'm actually like, I'm relaxed. I'm like, because I have nothing, what can this man do to me? My head is so far away. I'm thinking he wants to steal, and he tells me to remove your jacket, and I remove. I'm like, I have nothing. There's nothing you can get from me. And he says, just remove it. And I just remove it. And I show him there's nothing. I don't even check my pockets. Then he tells me, remove your top. I'm like, why do you want me to remove my top? There's nothing. I'm not hiding any money underneath. I remove it. And then he tells me to remove my trousers. And I'm like, no, that's when it dawned on me. I'm like, oh my goodness. Is this what this man is about to do to me? And I am like, no way. So I start praying. I tell God, you have to save me. God, you have to save me. And And so now I start struggling. I don't fight. I'm not fighting this guy, but I'm struggling now. I'm like, no, he's not doing this. Like I was just determined. I'm like, this man is not raping me. I'm not gonna be raped. I'm not gonna just let this man rape me, you know. I was a virgin at that time. I was almost 20 and I had never even had a boyfriend. So I started struggling. So I started resisting. He's trying to remove my trousers and I'm resisting. I'm not fighting, but I'm resisting. So this man starts beating me. He beats me so bad. He beats me with anything. He punches me. He kicks me. He hits me with rocks. Remember, we are in this seclusion. It's a railway area. There's loose rocks. He will take these loose rocks and hit me with them on my head. He had me on the ground. He was stamping on me with his boots. He had these big boots. They look like safari boots. Yeah, safari boots, very rough. He will kick me in the head. He would take rocks and bash my head. He would, after he succeeded in taking off my trouser, I was still holding my knees together, and he would bang my knees with rocks to weaken me. He would bang and bang and bang on my knees with rocks. And then I used my hands to cover my knees when I realized my knees were feeling sensitive. So I use my hand. I think my right hand is very sensitive over here. I cannot even like hold my weight on the floor. I do still try to work out a little bit to keep myself, you know, because I am always in the house nowadays, almost always. So I do try to work out, and I cannot do floor workouts anymore nowadays because this part is so weak. It cannot hold my weight anymore. So yeah, so I used my hands to cover my knees because he would hit me with rocks and bang on my knees. So yeah, until I was so weak. I was beaten, guys, for a long time. I think for like 1 hour or something. It felt like forever. He hit me and hit me and hit me and hit me. And here I am, I'm praying because remember, I was like telling God, like, God, you cannot be serious. You would not allow this man to rape me. Coming from church, you know, doing your work. I came from music practice in church. And here I am about to be raped. How do you allow this to happen to me? So I started praying and saying, God, don't let this happen. And I was so sure, you guys, I was so certain, I was so sure that God was gonna come open the heavens, you know, he was gonna open the heavens and smack this guy, you know, strike him with lightning. And that was my belief, like really, that's how much I believed God was gonna do it for me. So I prayed and cried and prayed and cried, you know, I cried and cried, and this man kept on beating me and beating me and beating me, and I kept on resisting, you know, holding my thighs together and stuff. Finally, this man, he had beaten me so much that I was so weak. Blood was rushing from my head, you know, like all over my face. I was just bleeding, and I was even covered with mud also. My blood was mixed with the sand and all that. It was just a whole mess. So yeah, guys, I was beaten so hard. I resisted as much as I could resist until I could not anymore hold this man back. And he was coming down now. He had opened my legs and he was coming down on me. And guys, the next thing I saw was me waking up and the man was leaving. Guys, that's what happened. After this, I saw the man coming down on me, and the next thing I saw was him going away. Actually away from me, like he was walking away, completely walking away, talking to himself. Because when he was beating me, he was telling me, you sleep around with all the men in your place. Why are you denying me? Am I a different man than all those other men you sleep with? And I was telling him, you know, you try to reason with your, you know, attacker. I'm like, no, I don't. Try to explain myself. No, I don't. I've never slept with any man. And he said, let me check you. If I see that you are a virgin, I will not rape you. So when I woke up and this man was walking away, he was saying, I told you are not a virgin. See, I said it. You are not a virgin. Yeah, I said it. You're not a virgin. So I heard him when I woke up. I opened my eyes and I saw him walking away saying, I told you I will check you, you know. Anyway, I was like, what was that about? Because I knew I was a virgin. So yeah, so I got up very weak. I dressed up. I could find whatever I could find on the ground. I found, and I dressed up. I put on my trousers. Yeah, I put on my trousers, my bra, even he had removed even my bra. So I put on my bra and I started walking. So I was so tired. My thought was, I just want to sleep. I just want to sleep. I just want to sleep. So I'm finding a way to get out of that seclusion, that fence seclusion, so I could go get a matatu, so I could go to my hostel and just sleep. I don't even know how I look, you guys. So now I'm walking in there and I'm trying to find a place to get out, and I can't find any way to get out of there. It's so funny. It's weird how God works also. I'm looking and searching and trying to find the path, any opening, so I could get out of the fence, and I could not find any way to pass. So I kept on walking along the fence, until I reached a place where I saw a tiny building. It had stairs to upstairs, and I could hear men talking. And I walked up there. I wanted to ask them, how do I get out of here? Please help me to get out of here. And when I got up there, the men looked at me and they were in shock. They asked me, young lady, where are you coming from? And I told them what happened. And they asked me, were you raped? I told them I do not know. Because literally, guys, I couldn't tell whether this man raped me or he did not rape me. So I told them I do not know. I've been beaten, and I don't know. I don't know. And I was frustrated when they were asking me all these questions, because there were many questions they were asking me. Details. They're asking details. And then I'm asking them, could you please just tell me how to get out of here so I can take a matatu? I'm really tired. And the men took a stool. They took a stool and put it outside the building and told me to sit there at the balcony. Sit out there. And I'm frustrated. I'm like, these men are so mean to me. Why are they making me sit out here? They can at least make me sit inside, I need to sleep, I'm there. I'm trying to close my eyes. They're like, young lady, get up, wake up, don't sleep. I'm like, I am exhausted. I'm just trying to close my eyes. They wouldn't let me even close my eyes. I was frustrated, but I'm too weak to even argue or anything, I'm not even angry, guys. Okay, I am angry at the fact that they are not showing me the way to go take a bus, but I'm not upset of what has happened to me, in a way. It's crazy. So these men, later I came to realize that they wanted to keep me out there, because they said they were keeping me out there because they knew how badly I was beaten, how badly I was bleeding from my head, that if I fell asleep, I would die. That's what they said. If I fell asleep, I would die. So they wanted to keep me out in the cold, so I could, the cold would keep me awake. I don't know whether that is medically correct. I don't know, guys. So that's what they told me later after the police came. So the guys kept me there. They were asking me questions. They asked my mother's number. I could not even tell my mother's number, guys. I repeated, I think, like 6 times. I would go 07. I make a mistake, and then I tell them no. I start again. I was so delirious, So yeah, so they were very patient. So they asked me. Finally, I got it right, and then they called the police. The police came very fast, guys. There's good police people, guys. So the police came after like maybe an hour or two. They came. I think it was midnight by the time the police was coming. So the police came, they questioned me, they asked me if I was raped. I told them I do not know. Guys, I had no pain. I had no soreness in my, south, whatever. I had no any other pain in my vaginal area or anything. I had nothing. So I couldn't tell them that I was affirmatively raped or anything. I just knew I had been beaten so much and left for dead, basically. So the police took me back they asked me where it happened. Imagine, where did it happen? So I'm like, there I'm pointing, and they're taking me back in the dark to find, because I think I lost my panty. Yeah, I lost my panty. I couldn't find my panty. And I told them, my panty, I couldn't find it. So that should be the indication. Maybe the guy even took it with him. I don't know. Because I couldn't find it. Because they took me there back again. Like a few days later, they took me back to the place that I couldn't find my panty. I don't think someone came and took it away or something. I don't know. I think the guy took it with him. So yeah, so they asked me where it was. I was trying to locate the place. Really, guys, I think I couldn't. Anyway. So yeah, finally the police took me in the police car, and they took me to a hospital, the Nairobi Women's Hospital, guys. So I was taken to the Nairobi Women's Hospital at midnight, and there I was treated. I was given a bed. I slept there overnight. The doctors examined me. They cleaned me up. They gave me contraceptives, the PEP. No, what am I talking about? They gave me the morning after pill, I think, because I didn't know anything, but I know they gave me a pills to make me not pregnant, and then they tested me for HIV, and then they put me on ARVs, guys. They put me on ARVs. I think that's what is called PEP. Yeah. They put me on ARVs for 1 month, so to make sure I don't get HIV infected. So guys, yeah, so that was how it happened in the morning. So the doctors now, they ran tests to see if I was raped or not, because they asked me, were you raped? I told them I do not know. So the doctors tested me and they found semen. Yeah, they found the guy's sperm on me. So the doctors concluded that I was raped. So, but physically, guys, let me tell you, physically I had nothing to show for the rape. I was a virgin, a young, like I was 19, or not even, almost 20. I had no pain. I had no bruising. The only thing that the doctors found on me was sperm, was his semen. So yeah, so it was concluded that I was raped. Yes, guys. So that's how now my mom came in the morning. She found me in the hospital. She was in shock because, guys, my head was swollen. Like, it was swollen. My face was double. It was big. Like, I had pictures, like some pictures I had. I was young. Anyway. So I was swollen. I had cuts on my face. Some marks have never disappeared on my face. I think they've never disappeared. Afterwards I could notice some bumps on my forehead, which led me to a different path. Anyway, I started picking my face really hard, because whenever I would feel a bump, even now I'm still working on that, because whenever I feel a bump on my, even underneath my skin, even if it's not a pimple, I'll pick it till now it gives me dark marks. Now it gave me some type of issue, now that I'm still dealing with. I pick my skin so hard because of those bumps that I felt after this ordeal. I think it's scar tissue. Yeah, scar tissue from the beating. Yeah, so guys, so my mom came in the morning and I was discharged. That night, let me tell you, I was so badly beaten. My body was so badly weak that I even I woke up in the morning in the hospital bed, and I had messed myself, not peed. I had messed, diarrheaed on myself. And I remember the nurse was so upset. Like, she was so upset. Like, couldn't you feel it? I'm like, no, I couldn't even feel it. Imagine being a grown up and not sick. I wasn't sick, but I could not even feel that I needed to go to the toilet. So she was like, couldn't you feel it? Couldn't you feel that you need to go to the toilet? No, I couldn't. I just woke up in the morning the way children wake up in the morning and boops, they have peed. That's how it was. I woke up in the morning and I had messed the bed, And the nurses, they cleaned up. They took me to the bathroom. They washed me. That's how badly I was beaten. Like, my body was completely crushed. I think the men were right. Maybe if I had slept, I would have died. I don't know. Maybe I would have died. So that's how it was. And these doctors put me on medication, and they discharged me to go back home. And then before I left, they put me on therapy. And I think I started the session that day, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I think I did. I had my first session that very day, and the therapist asked me how I felt. She asked me if I was angry with the man who raped me, and I said I was not. Are you upset with God? Do you blame God for what happened to you? I said I was not. And to be honest, I was not. I thought I was not upset with God. So I was discharged, and she gave me appointments, and I think I went for 2 more appointments or 3 more appointments. And and she kept on asking me if I was angry at God. And then she said she concluded that I was okay. Yeah, she said, your head seems to be in the right place. Your spirit is in the right place. I think you're good. So she released me. She said, if you want any more sessions, you'll have to pay for them. And I was like, of course, I'm gonna be able to. I think she was charging $20. Yeah, $20 a session. That's 2,000 shillings at the time. And I knew there was no way my mom would have afforded that. So, and I felt I was okay. I didn't need it. But so yeah, so that's how I stopped taking the therapy. And then my church also was awesome. Yeah, and also, you know how you feel you're okay. So I was okay enough to talk about it. I would tell anyone. People in my church. I told them. I don't remember which day it was that I was raped, but I remember I was raped on. Was it on Saturday? I don't remember which day it was, guys. But I remember I went back to school a few days later, guys. My face was still swollen, and I went back to church the same week. I went back to church. My face was still swollen, marked and cut, and people were staring and they're like, "Oh, what happened to you?" And I was telling them what happened. I was just telling them this what happened when I came from music practice that night. I was attacked and all that and all that and all that, and people felt so bad. But no, what? Well, I remember now. Shortly after this, just slowly, I started asking myself, does God really care? Does God really care about these things that we care about so much? Does God really care if I am pure or not? If I keep myself, if I don't have sex with people or not? Does God really care if I keep myself for marriage or not? Really, does he? Because if he did care, he wouldn't have let that happen to me. I used to be angry. I started getting a little bit, let me not say angry, but pain. I started feeling this pain in my heart, and started feeling lost. Because my purity and my virginity was something that I had held very dear to me. I had held it very dear. And it was very important to me. So when this happened, I was like, maybe God doesn't even care about all these things. Then I would go to church. I remember clearly one day I went to church and they were singing, He Knows My Name. Yeah, like they're singing He Knows My Name. And I remember in my head, I was like, really, does he? He hears me when I pray. I'm like, does he really hear me? Does he really know my name? Does he really care? I would just hear people singing praise, worship songs. And after this, guys, I could not sing anymore. Like I stopped literally. I stopped singing in church completely. So I became part of the congregation now. And when they will sing, I will be like, I don't believe it, I don't believe any of these things these guys are singing. God is good where? How? I just started feeling like I don't want to be there anymore. I started feeling like I didn't want to be in my home anymore. I didn't want to be with the people I knew anymore. Like I would come from school and to go back home or come from anywhere, and I didn't want to get off the bus. I would just stay in the bus. Like I'm at my home, and I just wouldn't get off the bus. I was just sitting in the bus, and the bus would go with me. Take me kilometers away, and I will walk back slowly, walking back very slowly, as slow as I could to get back home, because I didn't want to be there anymore. So yeah, so guys, that became my life. I slowly stopped going to church. Then I remember I didn't even want to be in the country anymore. Yeah, because this happened in April. I graduated in November. Yeah, I graduated in November. I stopped going to class. I stopped going to class, you guys. Remember, I was put on ARVs for 1 month. So those the ARVs they took a toll on me. I was always blurry. My vision was always blurry because the ARVs was so strong. Yeah, but I finished to the last pill. So yeah, so I stopped going to class. I started hanging out with these kids who didn't go to class. They are grown-ups anyway, but they were kids. They are 20s, in their early 20s. So we started hanging out. All we did was walk around the place and go, just aimlessly walking around, not going to class. That was me. And I used to be this sharp kid. Like I was a B plus student. I was a B plus material student. And then that was me. I didn't go to class. I didn't care. I cared about the grade I was gonna get, but I had no zeal. I became depressed. And my church, as I was telling you guys, my church was awesome. They also tried to take me to therapy at Youth with a Mission. Yeah, they asked me to go for therapy, and I went. And then there was the therapist. I would sit there with her, and I would ask her questions, and she would not answer my questions, guys. You know, I would ask her questions, and she would ask them back to me. Like I'll ask her, does God care about our virginity? Does God care about? And she will tell me, what do you think? Do you think? I'm like, woman, I came here for you to give me answers. I came here for you to put my head back together. And she wasn't. I was feeling like I'm tired of coming all this way. It was all the way in Westlands. So I think I went there 3 times, and I was like, I'm not feeling this. I stopped going to therapy. So finally, I didn't want to be in the country anymore. So after I graduated from 4, I told my mother I wanted to go to Tanzania, back to Tanzania. Back to Tanzania. So yeah, so I went. I thought my head was that I was gonna go back to my father's home. I don't know, just change the environment. Then that's what I did. I went back to Tanzania to do A levels, to do Form 5 and Form 6. So I went there, and I went to my father's house, and there was nobody there. I went to my father's house. Lo and behold, apparently my father and my stepmother had divorced, and the house has nobody but one step cousin. So it was like I'm living with. It's like I'm just living in people's homes, But I was in that house, in the house where I grew up in. So I stayed there for a week, and I tried to find one of my father's, no, the only niece my father has, because my father only has one niece anyway, from one of his brothers. And I located after 4 days of being in my father's old house, I located my cousin, and I went to stay with her at her house as I'm searching for a school, and I found a very nice school. It's called Loyola. Yeah, I was in Loyola. So I found Loyola. It was a fight. I was finding this school before I even knew what the grade I got. So I was just hoping, I was just praying to God, just give me just enough to join this school, just enough to join the school. And God gave me enough, just enough. I got a C-. I was shocked how I got a C- anyway. It's not the best grade. Some of the subjects I had B+ and B's, I was like, how did I even get that, anyway. But maths, not so good. So yeah, guys, so whatever I failed, I really failed like maths, and it dragged down my grade, and I got a C-. Yeah, guys, so anyway, so I got away. I went and started living in Tanzania. But anyway, I couldn't run away from my depression, because depression is within you, and it's not in the location anyway. Anyway, guys, so this is my story of how I was raped. How I was raped. And so why am I telling this story, guys? Why am I telling this story? It's not to show, just to show how that I was raped. But the rape stories I've been hearing, you guys, I know it is very hard when a woman is raped, or even, I don't know about men, but it is a very depressing thing when you are raped, guys. But to me, as much as I went into depression, as much as I became angry with God, to me, God showed up for me that day. He did. He showed up for me that day, guys. Yes, the doctors confirmed that I was raped. The doctors confirmed because they found sperm on me. But guys, just before that man raped me, God made me sleep. I just slept, guys, like the second, like to the second of the action, God put me to sleep. How? Like, I cannot even explain it, guys. I cannot even explain it. To the second of the action happening, I was put to sleep. And I woke up when he was leaving, And this man did not even see me get up from there and walk away. Probably he thought I was dead. Probably he thought he killed me or something. But no, God did not allow him to kill me that day. So to me, to Leah Shimba, myself, I saw God that day. I saw God saved me that day. Did God make me get raped? No, it was my own vanity. It was my own vanity. I'm not saying it's my fault. No. I'm not saying it is my fault that I got raped. No, it is not my fault. But the enemy used my vanity against me. You know, he used my vanity against me. My vanity of wanting to be skinny. You know, I was so skinny, guys. I didn't even like my body. I was so skinny that when I smiled, I had wrinkles. You know, you'll think I was 50 and I was only 19. You know, yet. No wonder there's a video I told you guys, I don't even care about being small. I like my body the way it is right now. Yes, I try to be healthy. I still work out sometimes, but I do not care about being slender or skinny or whatever. I just love myself the way God made me, but I stay healthy. So the enemy used my vanity against me, you know. But even in that, God showed up. You know, I used to ask people back in the day. I used to wonder and care because a boyfriend told me something horrible one day. He said my first lover was my rapist. A boyfriend told me that one time. He said your first, because there was a situation. It's a story I'll get into another time. And I was saying he was my first lover, and he said, why don't you tell people that you also were raped before me? You know, like, so the rapist was your first lover. So yeah, guys. So yeah, guys. So I used to ask people, you know, I'm losing my train of thought. I used to ask people, was I really raped? Like, I was like, because I was not conscious. Because to me, being raped is being there, you know, like experiencing that act of being raped. It would conclude to me, in my head, that would mean I was raped, like Leah was raped, like she was present and she experienced it. So, but to me, I wasn't there, you know. What I was there for was the beating. I was beaten and I was left for dead. But to me, I was saying, God rescued me from that rape. I did not experience it. Anyway, but people had debates, whatever. Who cares anyway? I don't care whether I was or was not anyway. But all I know is that God showed up for me that day. I saw God, literally. Miraculously, God came and he rescued me from the rape. He rescued me. And I hope, guys, I am making sense. So the enemy used my own weaknesses. The enemy used my own vanity and obsessions against me. And the enemy also used this event to make me angry, to make me, you know, to affect my walk with God, you know, to affect my walk with God, which later came and led me astray. You know, I started, you know, I moved so far away from God, which would be the story in my next video, where I will continue with my story of now what happened after I was raped and how did I come back to the Lord, you know. So guys, so I hope you understand, like, the mercies of God are they are so beautiful, because to me that day I saw God's hand. I saw his rescue. I saw it, guys. I would have died there. This man probably thought he had killed me. I would have died, guys. I would have caught some diseases, you know. Imagine how I couldn't find the way out of that fence to go and take a matatu, where probably nobody would have cared where I came from or whatever. I would have gone to my hostel, maybe, you know, maybe I would have gotten HIV, or I would have been pregnant, or whatever. But how is it that I could not find a way to get out of that fence? How is it that I was led to that little house where there were those men who called the police who took me to a hospital, that treated me for everything, guys, for free, you know? How did all that happen? Imagine, from me falling asleep just when I'm raped, to me finding those men, to them calling the police who took me to the hospital. How did that happen, guys, if it was not God's hand, if it was not God's protection? As much of a mess as the enemy was trying to damage me, or, you know, but God showed up for me, you know. He showed up for me. I saw it then, but still there was that seed planted of anger inside me. But I saw it. I saw it. I was like, God, you didn't rescue me. But part of me said, He did rescue me. I always had it in me like, but God did rescue me that day. Especially the part where I slept, I fell asleep. I always felt, how did I fall asleep? Just, I fainted or whatever I may call it. How did that happen? Just at that second. How did that happen? I always knew at the back of my mind, but still there was a seed of anger planted in me that led me astray. You know, the enemy took advantage of that and he led me astray, guys. So guys, God is so good. God is so faithful. He is so faithful, you know. So guys, the next part of my story, I think the video has been too long and it's very complicated to upload it. It takes forever. So the next part of my story is going to be about now how my life was from that moment to where I found the Lord again, you guys. Oh, my conscience was brought back to the Lord. So guys, thank you for watching. I hope this video has blessed you, and I hope you share with someone who may need this. You know, sometimes people need to hear stories like this. Someone who may have been raped and they are feeling like they are worthless, or their life is over, or God doesn't care, or whatever. So I hope this story can help someone else. You know, can help someone else to see God's hand in whatever has happened to them. Can you see God's hand in whatever the enemy is trying to do to you? Can you think and see where God's handprint is? You know, like, because when you think about it, no matter how messy the enemy is trying to make your life, you can see the handprint of God. It is right there. But many of the times we cannot recognize it. But sitting here right now, I can see the hand of God that was on me on that day, you guys. So guys, thank you for watching. Really, I want to keep talking and talking because my story is long and there is more to it, but I will save it for another video. So guys, thanks for watching, and I hope I'll see you again. Bye bye. God bless you.